you shoot it in Malawi. In lots of the scenes, you were speaking the language native to those in Malawi.
Chichewa, yeah.
Chichewa, yes, I remember it. He told me in the green. I kind of got it.
Yeah. No, I'm constantly.
What was there a part of you that wanted to sort of set up a bunch of ways to make this inspiring for you and to make you have to kind of work as hard as possible as a filmmaker?
It was just, I think it was...
Or just the right way to do it?
Well, it's kind of incremental, isn't it? I wanted to tell the story, but I wanted to make sure that it was as deeply authentic as I could make it. And so that's why I made the decision to shoot him in Malawi. And then we were going to shoot in all of the, as much as we could, in all of the real locations, that the events actually took place in. I wanted to shoot in William's house, actually. But he had done so much innovation in his house over the years, that it didn't look anything like it did, back then. So we shot in his next-door neighbor's house, for example, right in Wimbe, right in the village where he's from. And so in that process, the next step was clearly to start thinking, well, how are we going to, how are we going to speak? What are we going to say? How do we balance that? Obviously people in the village speak Chichewa, and people speak English in other circumstances. They might speak English in school or in, sort of work environments and stuff like that. But in the village at home, you speak Chichewa. So it became a process. Well, that was the next logical step. Those of us who weren't from Malawi, there were people cast who are from Malawi, several people cast from Malawi, but those who weren't, we started to learn Chichewa so we could do the scenes, sort of authentically, those scenes that required that. So that was the process, really. It was just that one decision, the one clear decision of trying to reach for a very deep authenticity in the story, and then, what the implications of that were.
Were you always going to direct it from the start? Like you got this and you developed it and it was going to be your first feature film that you were directing? Because oftentimes you hear stories like an actor's attached to something and then the director falls through and the actor steps up because they know the project better than anybody else. Or was this from the get-go like your passion project that you wanted to direct?
Yeah, I think the way that I remember it, Andrea Calderwood, who produced the film, sort of seems to think that was the case, that I was going to do it right from the beginning. But I kind of remember it slightly differently, that I was kind of writing the film, and I was going to, and I just wanted to, adapt to the film, adapt the book, and then see, as it was developing, what would happen, and whether that would be for somebody else to direct, or for me to direct, whether I would play Trywell, whether I wouldn't, and those sorts of decisions. But it became quite clear at a certain point. I was traveling back and forth to Malawi a lot, and I was making decisions, thinking about the landscape. I was writing with the locations in mind by the time I started to do some of the later drafts, and those became directorial decisions. They became decisions about the visuals, about how it would feel, and that kind of got buried into the sort of DNA of the script at a kind of earlier stage.